We take you away from that press conference in Brooklyn, New York, to now bring in our NBA expert, Sam Quinn. And Sam, a lot to take in right there. I think the biggest things that we should take a look at are the illegal gambling and the poker betting that we were just hearing about with Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier. What were your takeaways that you just heard?
Yeah, I've looked back at the Jontay Porter scandal. There was some hope, I think, that this was an isolated incident. It was a two-way player, somebody who hadn't made a lot of money playing in the NBA. Maybe he was vulnerable, but it wasn't, say, a widespread problem. Terry Rozier has made $160 million playing in the NBA. If he's vulnerable to a scandal like this, that raises a lot of questions that I don't think the NBA has good answers for. I think this is probably the most significant gambling scandal the NBA has faced yet. The hope, and I mean, with multiple, between Chauncey Billups, who I guess is in a different with the poker investigation getting investigated for different things, but between Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones and Terry Rozier, this is much more significant than just a single player like was the case with Jontay Porter. It's the most significant gambling investigation I think the NBA has dealt with. And yeah, I all I can say is there's a lot more investigation to be done here. And this is a very dangerous situation for the league as a whole.
Yeah, certainly not a good day for the NBA at all. I want to look at some of the notes that I took down that we just heard from the some of the federal officials. It's called a historic case, massive nationwide takedown. We heard from FBI Director Kash Patel, who said that it was spanning back years for this investigation, and the amount of money that we're talking about here is tens of millions of dollars that people are now out and frauded of. When we talk about the Terry Rozier case, because I think it's important to separate the two from Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups, you look at Rozier and maybe the implications of, we've known about this in the investigation the NBA did where they found no wrongdoing. And now that we've seen the story and how it all played out with Jontay Porter and him being banned from the NBA, when you look at it just from a basketball perspective when it comes to Terry Rozier, we have to expect that if he is in fact guilty, because we know he's innocent until proven guilty and these are just allegations, if he is guilty, this has to be the end of the career and the end of the road for Rozier in the NBA.
Oh, absolutely. You can't come back from this, right? And Jontay Porter was pretty quickly banned from the NBA for life when his wrongdoing came to light. The NBA investigated it, and the ban came in quickly after. Now, Jontay Porter was a two-way player. He wasn't somebody that was ever especially impactful on an NBA court. Terry Rozier, a longtime starter, somebody who's gotten multiple big contracts, played on a big stage at high level in the playoffs. This would be, frankly, the most significant player that we've ever seen punished for something like this. I mean, it's going to have implications for the Heat, obviously. Terry Rozier didn't play in the opener last night as a coach's decision. He's on their books for $26 million for the season. You'd figure even if he wasn't in the opening night rotation, he was somebody as the season progressed, if injuries, forced them to change their rotation a little bit, he was going to play eventually. When his contract would have expired after the season, probably would have been able to at least, get on a roster somewhere next year as a free agent. Now, I mean, it certainly seems if these investigations prove that the allegations are true, his NBA career is over, and he probably has bigger problems than that.
Yeah, Rozier arrested in Orlando this morning following the Heat's loss to the Magic last night. That was in Orlando. Then meanwhile in Portland, we get to the Chauncey Billups portion of this whole part of the story, a separate investigation involving the illegal poker. And we hear all the schemes that they said that they used to try to rig these poker games, from the x-ray machines and everything that the FBI are alleging to have happened. This is a head coach of an NBA franchise, a former all-star, a great in the league. What do you take away from this, Sam? Because this is a pinnacle name in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chauncey Billups is somebody that has by and large been held up as a, very well-respected figure in the sport. Obviously, he was a finals MVP with the Pistons. He was a candidate to be a GM at one point with the Cavaliers, now a head coach. And it's just the sort of thing that does sort of make you think, almost anybody in the sport now is vulnerable to getting involved in issues like this where gambling is concerned. I assume Portland is going to have to name an interim head coach at some point in the near future. Nate Bjorkgren is the only former head coach on their staff. He was the coach of the Pacers for 1 year. As far as the longer term view here goes, I don't know what to take away from this. I don't know how Portland could have been expected to know this, if this was going on at all before they hired him, if it was something that was happening, after the hire. I mean, we're still a little bit fuzzy on some of the details, but Chauncey Billups would not have been somebody you ever would have expected to be involved in something like this. And the fact that he is just kind of shows that right now, given the state of gambling in the United States, it's a much more pervasive, widespread issue than we would have previously thought.
Yeah, this is the Portland Trailblazers team that lost yesterday to the Timberwolves at home, a franchise that is trying to be bought by the Carolina Hurricanes owner, and now a team leading that way. So much more to try to be able to figure out along the way. I know we will have a lot more questions, hopefully more answers as well. Sam Quinn, thank you so much. Appreciate the time. I know we have a lot of questions, and hopefully we'll get even more answers as it pertains to Terry Rozier and as well Chauncey Billups and the illegal poker and the sports betting cases, the FBI announcing their findings. I'm sure this is just the beginning of the story, so keep it locked here to HQ. We will have a lot